Paul teaches, wives, submit yourself to your husbands. And this is a tough teaching. It's because of the time we live in and the liberation movement that began in the 60s and the lenses that we have over our eyes so that we see things through the social and political context of the day that we live in. And so we hear submission, wives submit to husbands. We think about patriarchy, and we think about abusive men who have taken, and by the way, men, if you have to appeal to Scripture, you better obey me, Scripture says so. Something's wrong with you. You're missing the point. So when we see through the lens of liberation and patriarchy and abusive men, and when we hear submission, we don't hear what's actually being said. We don't do the Bible study to really understand. It just sets us off. About 25 years ago, I think almost to the day, 25 years ago, I talked about submission at the old location, and I had a long day. I preached 3 times in the morning, and I preached Sunday night. I had 2 meetings. I have never been drunk. I don't drink at all. I never had a drop. The closest thing I know to a hangover is how a preacher feels on Monday morning. So, I woke up on the phone ringing on Monday morning, and I was really, what day is it? What day is it? And I answered the phone, and there's a young lady who was in church the day before, and she was angry at me, and she just gave me the dickens because I talked about submission. And she said, this is the way marriage is, I don't want to be married. And by the way, every time you preach, it feels like hot coals being stuck in my ears. She didn't really say that, but that was the gist of what she was trying to communicate. And it occurred to me, what she heard was the word submission. What she read was submission. And after that, nothing else made any sense. She just cut it off because of all the baggage we carry. But I want you to try to understand what's going on here, what's happening. I want to point out as we go along, submit to your husband, who is the head of you and the marriage as Christ is the head of the church. And I think that's the secret to understanding. The word here for submission is the same word used in Philippians chapter 2 when Paul sings that great or writes that great hymn about Jesus. Although he was in the form of God, he emptied himself, became a servant, submitted himself to the church. Now, does the church command Jesus? Are we over Christ? No. That's the answer you're supposed to say, no. But instead, Jesus serves the church by loving her, dying for her, wanting the very best for her. And then you see, as the head, that means he's responsible for his church. So what Paul is teaching here is that men naturally, let me say something else to you as I go along here. This is going to blow your mind. Men and women are different. I know it's a controversial statement. What I find out is that social progressives love and believe in science until they don't. And what social progressives want to do is they want to say that men and women are exactly the same and then remove all gender differences in culture and life. But science has, numerous studies of all kinds. Our brains and our bodies are wired and plumbed differently. We are very different. We see the world, men and women, very different ways. And neither men or women are superior to the other. I am a complementarian, which means I believe that we're equal in the sight of God, but we have different ways of serving God and different ways of working for God, and we're different in who we are. And men have, generally speaking, there are 2 kinds of people that will remember, those who divide things into 2 kinds of people and those who make broad generalizations. Generally speaking, men want to be responsible for their families. They want to take care of their wife. They want to look out for their family financially. They want to protect. That's how they naturally are. Last week, my daughter-in-law, Sarah, and Josh came over, and we all got in the hot tub. And this is a really big day because Debbie got in the hot tub too. I should have gotten a picture of that. They put little Abigail in with us. You know, she had a little boat she was floating in, a baby boat it's called. And she slept for a while in the baby boat, and she woke up in the baby boat. She looked at me for a while, you know, whatever. But they brought my granddog, Sasha, over too. Now, Sasha had surgery a few days before, and she was wearing the cone of shame, you know, on her head. We took her in the backyard. There were some bunnies in the backyard, and she chased those bunnies, not to catch them, but to push them out of the yard. She's a lab, a golden retriever. And the whole time we were in the hot tub, she patrolled the fence line of our backyard. Her makeup is to protect the family and to guard the perimeter. And when I looked at her, I've never seen her more happy. I think it was a smile. I'm not sure. And she was running around the yard like this. And nothing came in that yard and bothered us while she was out there. She was doing her job. That's naturally the way God made her. And that's sort of the idea here with men, that God made men to want to be responsible for their homes and their families and to protect. Now, I've been married for 44 years. I'm going to use myself as an example a little bit, okay? And I'm not bragging, or I'm the worst of all sinners. But when you've been married 44 years, that's a pretty high caliber marriage, don't you think so? You're missing the joke. 44, high caliber marriage. Okay. I don't want you to applaud for 44 years. You know, go give Debbie some praise and condolences, okay? 44 years. And the reason I want to use this as an example is that I've made about every mistake a man can make as a husband. I've made terrible mistakes. We were married 6 years. I took off my ring and threw at her across the room and said, I don't want to marry you anymore. And the next day, I was looking underneath the furniture trying to find the ring. You know how this is? So I've made many mistakes. I'm not trying to, but I've learned. And what's the use of being married 44 years and learning if you can't share what you learn with your friends? What's the use of it? So I'm going to just say to you that in 44 years, I've never commanded Debbie to do anything. I never told her to do anything. Oh, well, first got married, I said, make me breakfast. She gave me some Cheerios. That's not true either, okay? But I do feel responsible for her. I have a strong desire to protect her, to look out for her financially and for my family. It's built into me. So what Paul is saying here is, women, recognize this about your men. Recognize it. And give yourself to it. Your husband wants to be responsible for you. Let him be responsible. Let him take care of you. It doesn't rob you of anything, but it builds him up.